It doesn't matter how we answer this question because there's going to be people on both sides of the field that are going to have their feelings about it.
Final question, Felix. Oh, crap. We're going to do something a bit different today. We are reacting to some of your comments. We have some videos where people have commented on. We also have some emails that we've received that we want to analyze and comment on. Though we've already done that in the email form, we wanted to kind of break them down here because we think they're going to be applicable to everyone, actually. They're really good questions. Thirdly, we're going to talk about some quotes that we have that Felix has put together. I think we're going to react to those first, kind of analyze them. What do we think about them? What's going on in them? Then we're going to move on to Ash Wednesday, talk about the history of Ash Wednesday. Why do we do Ash Wednesday? I didn't grow up in the church, so if you're anything like me, you might not understand why we do this tradition, what's the heart posture behind it. And then finally, we're going to forecast our upcoming series. It's a 10 Commandments series. It is going to be fantastic. We have 10 separate pastors coming in or on Skype, or we're going to on-site to a couple of places to do videos with these guys. They're from different denominations. They're from different parts of the United States. It's going to be fantastic. There's so much dense, interesting theology, but also modern day application for why we still need to understand these things thoroughly so that we can have the best versions of our lives. We are Untrained Philosophical Discussionists. My name's Jonny Hanson. That guy right there is my good buddy, Andy Lamb. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Felix, first thing we got here is a quote from theologian Kirsten Sanders. God is your father, not your dad. By seeking to make God more accessible and emotionally warm, we've ended up with a picture of God that resembles a great nice man in the sky than it does the God of the Bible.
There's some depth to this one that I actually agree with what she's saying there, because the concept that we look at God the Father, we have this idea of father, and then you use this word dad as kind of, it just seems like there's a little less reverence that comes with that. Not that it's still not impactful, but when we look at the God of the Bible, there's this like fear of the Lord, right? And so we see that all the time. When I think about my dad, I don't think about the fear of my dad, right? I think about the relationship and connection with my dad. Whereas fear of the Lord, there brings on an aspect of when I look at my life and the sinfulness of my life, the way that when God sees me as, yes, I'm created the imago Dei in the image of God, and we have Jesus that's came to sacrifice for the brokenness that I have. But there's this just difference that I have in relationship with God, because God is looking at my sin and despises my sin, loves me, despises the sin that I have. And so there's a holiness aspect to when we see God the Father that just doesn't quite encompass who he is when you hear the word dad.
Gosh, I think it constantly says in the Bible, fear the Lord.
365 times.
Fear the Lord. And that is a different thing. I don't walk around fearing my dad unless your dad's abusive, but even then he's not benevolent. So like that piece doesn't play in. And we talk about sovereignty and we talk about reverence. And these are intentional words to put God in this place of like a very high authority, the supreme authority. And I think we see this a lot. I mean, we are Protestant. And in the Protestant church, this has been an infection throughout the church. And again, I always say this, I'm not trying to cast stones at churches because I'm always working on the plank in my own eye. But there has been this softening of who God is. We've lost a lot of that reverence. And I think we see more of that in the Catholic Church.
100%.
I see them respecting God and his place of authority better in the entirety of the universe. And I think that's where all their traditions, for us even as two regular guys who are Protestant, we see what they do in these traditions, and we also really appreciate that. And I think it's the part of our heart that goes, yeah, we're to look towards God as a benevolent being, a mind that is so far above ours. Yes, he gives us all these different benefits that allow our lives to be these great versions. But when you step back and realize all that he's holding together at every single moment of the day, this entire universe was ordered and placed into its exact position for things to happen, for you and I even to exist. When you start analyzing it in that sense, you have to stand back in that awe position, that reverence position, and go, how great are you to even consider me, first off? And that can then, you have that default then humility piece that we're always talking about, strength restrained, and you see that in God. He's just so benevolent, so mighty, so huge, so powerful. To downplay how we see him as just, we're then boxing him up into our perfect little package of like, he just loves and everything's just good. And we see constantly throughout as we've talked about here and as we're going to talk about in our upcoming series, all these different times where God finally has his limit of us as little humans down here and he ends us. We see that biblically constantly. So he also is that piece. He's not only just love, though that is an attribute of him. He also is the judge in the final authority.
Yeah, and the other part of that too, that you said at the very beginning of it was, especially if you had an abusive dad, like so, fear of an abusive father is I'm scared.
Yes.
Fear of an omniscient father is reverence and just. They're just two totally different dynamics I'm looking at. Plus, the other problem is that if your dad here on earth did a terrible job of
or was just absent.
Well, just absent, terrible job of loving you, any of the above, then your view of dad is going to be very skewed. And so that's going to skew your version of when somebody says to you that God is your dad, it's like, well, I don't want anything to do with that then because the example that I have was just terrible. So, So that's why we have to be super careful. Look back at history as we've gone throughout history. What was the mindset of the prophets and the disciples and the mindset of the early church fathers when they thought and when they wrote and they talked about the concept of God? It was a very different dynamic than it would have been just God is my sky daddy.
Where do you think somebody could go in the Bible to really start to understand?
Psalms.
That's such a great answer. So somebody who doesn't know God, doesn't know how far we are from him, Psalms is a good place for them to go and start reading about how David actually, as a king, so as the highest authority in a region, see how he actually seen himself in comparison to God. That's a great, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's perfect. Felix, what do you got next, buddy? Why are so many people, especially Christians, quick to question celebrity faith?
Well, this is an easy one.
Talk to me.
It's because if a camera followed you around all day long, they'd be quick to question your and my faith too, right? That's the difference. When you have a camera on you 24/7, everybody gets to see your flaws and your ups and your downs and your goods and your bads.
Yeah.
They don't get to see that in mine because I don't have a camera in my face 24/7. I think the other problem that happens too is with celebrities, especially you take like somebody like Kanye West, Justin Bieber, Lana Del Rey, Khloe Kardashian, any of these people who make quick conversations about their faith and how they love Jesus, because we've known their whole life up until that point, we start to go, how could a person like that love Jesus? And then the moment they drop off, it's like, there's another one right there. It's the same thing we see with pastors when pastors fall off, right? It's like, oh, there's the Christians again. And so people have become very quick to judge. So anytime we see these people that are all over the internet, that are all over social media all the time, like we get a microscope in on what they're doing all the time. Unfortunately, what that does is that if that becomes a standard of what the Christian faith is, then people are going to have a pretty lousy view of what Christians are if they get to see all the negatives like that all the time.
I think of a pretty extreme one right off the rip. Sean Ryan had a guy that used to perform in pornography. And he talked a lot about that. He said how hard it was for him when Christ came into his heart and changed him, how hard it was for him to be accepted as the position that God wanted to put him in, which is as a man who speaks out against pornography, and how so many people were very critical of him because of the decisions he had made. By the way, the funny thing is like we've all made bad decisions, as you're insinuating. I've made a ton of bad decisions. If you would have followed me through my 20s, sir, and then you'd always look back to those and goes, that's who you are. I would never be able to walk into a church I'd set on fire.
Right.
But again, we're all given this opportunity in Jesus. It doesn't matter what you've done. And by the way, if God's putting a message in your heart, we see it with like all these different celebrities. Felix went on to mention there too about like Khloe Kardashian, I think. And I don't know anything about her. I don't do a lot of, believe it or not, for how much online stuff we put out. Mm-hmm. I don't do a lot of online searching and understanding, but what he's got written here is that she's been speaking a lot about her faith recently, and she's been catching a lot of heat for it on the back end. And it's just a crummy thing because I think we call them idols. Literally, that's what we would say. They're like teen idols.
Sure.
Then we have American Idol. We throw this word around a lot, and the Bible actually throws it around a lot too. And you see that these are two completely different, far as the East is from the West, interpretations of this same word. But that means to idolize. Mm-hmm. And there is something about watching these people who live these exploitive lives that are out in the public. We get to see all their things. And especially if they're wealthy and then they're pretty or they're handsome or they've got a nice car, a big house, or lots of money, we do idolize that. Mm-hmm. So then when they shift away from this image that we in our little hearts are kind of worshiping in our own little way, I think that it really gets pretty far away from what God wants us to do, which is when anyone seeks him out, the rest of us are supposed to step in and go, welcome. Mm-hmm. And let me, if I can, be of assistance in helping you to better understand your relationship that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
If somebody didn't do that to me, I wouldn't be a Christian today.
Yeah, it's so well stated. I'm so glad we didn't have cameras when I was in my 20s, man, because it'd have been
or teens. I mean, you bring up such a very vivid understanding of what the difference is between us and them.
Very much so. I also think, unfortunately, there's so many people that are rooting for them to fall.
Certainly.
And so there's always the constant tension of when you are in the limelight and you have money and you have power and you have influence, you have to begin to live your life very, very differently. There is no room for flaws because the moment they are, you get canceled and you just get torn up online. And I think that's...
How about this too? You have money. Like your money comes from this lifestyle that you built up that is built on debauchery.
Absolutely.
So all your income and all the people that then work for you, because we're talking about people, you and I own our businesses, but we also have people that work for us. And I consider my guys that work for me all the time when I'm trying to book these jobs and when I'm trying to make sure everybody's getting paid exactly on time. Like, imagine now you're a celebrity and you have a whole entourage of people that depend on you to do the thing you've been doing that's made you successful into perpetuity. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you have a Jesus change, which, by the way, for that lifestyle is very unpopular. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking about all of our money's going to go away, buddy? Yeah. Are you nuts? I have kids and a mortgage.
Yeah, all your agents are telling you, hey, you can't do this anymore. There's no more booking deals. There's no more music deals. There's no more whatever it might be. You're exactly right. Your whole entire lifestyle can change in a moment for making a change like that.
And the truth is that there is popularity in Christianity, and we talk about that. Christianity, the idea of Christianity, Christian music and stuff, there is an uptick in people enjoying that and celebrating it. And there's some great stuff out there, right? And some of these shows like The Chosen are very successful shows. So it's not that there's none of that. But the truth is, sometimes when God wants to pull you away from this thing, he doesn't have another thing that is as elevated as that thing. He might have you working in a soup kitchen. You might be a CEO of a Fortune 500, and now you're working in a soup kitchen. By the way, I knew a guy like that when I was in rehab. I knew a guy that had run multi-$100 million company and was in the same place because he went to prison for a while because he was a drug addict. Wow. And he was working in soup kitchens with me and helping me bag groceries for people that needed food and helping me organize clothes at the clothing drive. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is a real person I really knew. So sometimes if you're a Khloe Kardashian or a Kanye West or any of these celebrities that then have these moments, that can be scary for everybody because you don't know that then on the other side of it, you're going to have the same global effect, let's say, of affecting others with this new message,
Sure.
let alone the financial gains that come with it. It's a big sacrifice. And it's unfortunate that we as Christians don't recognize their sacrifice that they're making by speaking out and stepping into the void and going, I support you.
But that's the whole part about Christianity. It is a sacrifice.
Yes.
That's why 1 John 2 tells us that you don't get to love me and love the world. You're either going to hate the one and serve the other, or love the one and hate the other. This is the whole concept John is painting for him here. And especially when you have money. This is the rich young ruler as well. It's like he came and said, I've done all these things. And Jesus says, go sell everything that you have and come follow me. And he went away sad because he was a man of great wealth. And so it's very hard. That's why the Bible talks about nothing wrong with wealth, but it's very hard for very often wealthy people to come to know the Lord because of the cost.
God, and think about the doubling down of the people that already want to see you fall. Now that you've made this other path that is something else, then they double down on their anticipation of your fall. The microscope tightens in on your life. Let's see how much more is there. Why is this person making this drastic change? By the way, still true today is that media hates the church. I believe that. We have, oh boy, oh my gosh, our friends here in the audience. We have a phenomenal pastor. I'm not going to give you away too much because you're going to have to check it out. It's so good. This guy was a massive pastor. Global world traveler for his pastoral duties, and he made a big mistake. And I'm telling you, everyone came out of the woodwork. It was a national story that this guy did this thing, and the whole downfall of him was on all the different platforms. Why? Because I think there's an evil element behind mass media. That's what I think. And I think that the minute the church starts to even stumble, it's like what they say about the people trying to stop terrorists. We stop terrorists every day and nobody thanks us, but they sure get mad the one time that a terrorist commits an act. That's better applied, I think, to the church. The church all across the United States does many amazing things all over the world. Does many amazing things that nobody ever reports about on the news. You never see it. But you sure as heck see when one pastor does something wrong. And it's on everything, and it's all across the country. See, because there's those Christians, that's what they do. Everybody's this guy.
Planes that land safely don't make the news.
Gosh, isn't that it? It's so nuts.
It is so nuts. But it's a plan of the evil one to take a moment of somebody failing and then cast aspersion upon so many other people and then create this national effect of people walking away from the church. Of course, it's the devil.
And it is, and it's humans that hate Jesus. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that here before with pornography and who's behind pornography. I think it's the same forces.
I'm with you.
I agree. They're demonically influenced in their hearts through a hatred of Christ to propagate things that make the church look bad.
We see it every day.
Yep. We got a third quote here, Christian economy. There's been this ongoing discussion about Christian artists, worship artists, basically economizing the product of Christian faith. Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah.
Most recently, artists like Forrest Frank, that was the one I was thinking of, have been under the microscope for selling expensive merch, selling expensive VIP packages, etc. You start. I got ideas. I got thoughts.
The funniest part about the Forrest Frank one was him saying he's not going to come to the Dove Awards because he doesn't want to exploit, his working for Jesus to receive an award, but then at the same time he'll take monetary
gains for merch sales and
all of that. So where should we land in that? Should we? Shouldn't we? Should we be able to make money off of it? Shouldn't we be able to make money off of it? It doesn't matter how we answer this question because there's going to be people on both sides of the field that are going to have their feelings about it. Here's my 2 cents on it.
I think I know it, but please.
I don't see the problem.
Okay.
I don't see the problem. If somebody wants to sell merch and there's a buyer for their merch and they get to walk around with God or Jesus on there representing it, more power to you. Like if you want to help support a podcast, I think you should.
Yeah, we have one. We would love for you to support us on Patreon, UPD Podcast.
I mean,
$5 measly a month.
Why don't you just do it?
Helps us to do this show. If you like this content, it helps us get it out.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Super shameless plug. We pay pastors. Like I think you should pay pastors. There's biblical scripture to saying that pastors should be paid, and so I don't see anything wrong with people monetizing what they're doing. Now, I do understand the critique that people had for Forrest when he did that. Like you just go with one. Like pick one. You don't get to say I'm not trying to make a monetary effect. But I don't think he was making money off the Dove Awards. I think what he was really trying to do there was saying that like I don't want to honor like God gave me all this, so I just want to honor God with it. I don't want the reward for the thing that God has given me. I think those are actually really two separate issues of him just trying to fund his business and then be glorified for what he does. So I don't have any problems with Christians making money off of what they're doing.
How about this? How about it's a heart posture? Where's your heart at with it, man? Why can't? And by the way, how's the plank in your own eye? Doing pretty good with that one?
Sure.
Everybody's so quick to point at everybody else. Look what he's doing. I don't like it. Let's all talk about why we don't like it. Come on, join me. Mm-hmm. Who cares?
Yeah, the pile-on effect.
Who cares? Listen, his heart said, this specific thing is going to affect me in the wrong way. Andy, do we do different things than each other sometimes in the name of Jesus?
All the time.
Gosh, because we're two different people completely?
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes, and we're good buddies. So Forrest Frank, a guy I'll maybe never meet my entire lifetime, is going to do something different than me with his walk with Christ? Mm-hmm. Wow. Holy smokes. And I'm good and he's bad. Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Just want to make sure that I'm clear that he's bad and I'm good. Well, how can he make money then? Well, how would anybody like him to make money? Anybody else got any suggestions?
No. Of course they don't have any suggestions. There's no solution.
Well, they do have a suggestion. They're saying
do everything for free.
Or just do everything.
Yeah.
It's either do everything that we're doing, do everything I'm doing is ultimately whoever's critiquing him saying, I'm doing a good job over here. Look at how great I am. And Forrest, you need to do what I'm doing. And it's like, yo, God's leading him on his own journey. If he thinks taking an award from the Dove Awards is going to somehow affect his relationship with God, I respect it. My hat's off.
Me too.
Bruh, do what you've got to do for your walk with Christ. I think that if we take a look at what he's doing on the totality of things, he's doing some pretty amazing things for Jesus. I'm going to assume God moved his heart on this one thing. By the way, how I can tell that it's probably a heart issue is because he's going to take less glory on the back end. Mm-hmm. That's almost exclusively what happens when we make a hard choice like that to say no to something that would glorify us, is it'll hurt us on the back end a bit. Why? Because the world hates us. Mm-hmm. Jesus told us that, didn't he?
He sure did.
Okay.
The other part of it too I
get fired up, dog. This stuff is clearly so dumb to me.
Well, this is what Christians, and I don't even know that it's necessarily Christians. I think that just anytime a Christian does something, and I think let's just pile on and try to make them look stupid as much as possible. But what I did respect about Forrest doing that is that he just stood his ground all the way through it. He's like, it didn't matter what people were saying. What people were saying, he didn't go find your right. I'll go take this. He didn't. He just said, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to go about it. And I think that goes back to what you said at the very beginning, was what's your heart issue? We can do that with every decision that we make, those. Like, what is my heart issue? Is my heart issue towards prideful, self-indulgent me, yay, Andy, you're awesome, me being glorified? Or is it about, God, you've given me this gift, I want to honor you, what do you want me to do with it? And he speaks to you, and you go, I'm going to listen to this, I don't care what the world says.
Well, what another great point. How do we know what he's doing with the money from the merch or the VIP tickets or any of that crap? I don't know what he does with that money. Is he sleeping on it like he's Scrooge McDuck? I don't know, maybe. Or maybe he gives away a lot of it. I don't know how he lives. Also, because I'm not worried about celebrity icons. I'm not worried about that stuff. I don't care about that. And I think that we as Christians maybe should care a little less about it. What our Christian artists are doing. How does the music move you?
How about this? Go ahead. Let's be worried about less what anybody's doing.
Again, the plank in my eye.
I've got enough of my own problems to worry about what everybody else's problems are.
I'm trying to this life is a buffet. So is kind of this whole lifestyle that we're trying to figure out. It's like, I take a little taste of this here and go, God, is this good for me? This one God said is not good for me. But it might be good for you, right? I can't drink anymore, bro. I ruined that privilege, okay? So drinking's not good for me, but it's totally fine biblically for many other people, you see? What is that about? God's going to call us all to a very specific walk that he, before the creation of time, thought of for each one of us individuals so that we can all be little glimpses of his glory and righteousness.
Amen.
Okay, that's his walk. I get so fired up on these. It's so dumb. I read some of those comments about him, and I'm just like, yo, let the guy do some cool music.
Yeah.
Just chill out.
That's just haters going to hate, man. It's just the way it's been since the beginning of time. They're just going to do it forever. So we should stop being surprised by what people do.
Breath.
Sheesh.
Final question, Felix. Oh, crap.
Go ahead.
Who's the greatest fisherman in the world?
Go ahead. You tell them. I mean, you can tell everybody.
One
Tell
time,
it correctly.
Andy and I were fishing. Felix was with us.
Okay.
And I said, next person to catch a fish, anticipating that it would be me because it had been me all day.
We caught 3 fish the whole day.
I caught all the fish until this moment. Andy caught his first fish of the day before I could get the last syllable out of my mouth. He goes, fish on.
Greatest fisherman in the world.
And he reels it in, and we've got a video of this massive fish that he caught.
It's got catfish. Catfish! Greatest catfish of all time.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't
I
matter.
didn't know. I know, because the statement was made. God wanted to prove a point. I accept his point. Andy is the greatest fisherman that day.
No.
Moving on to, now we've got some Instagram comments. Andy did a video recently that was ripping and running. On TikTok, they decided to put it on the back burner because they don't like the content of this one, apparently, all of a sudden. It's Bizarro World. It had hundreds of thousands of views, thousands and thousands of comments, and they took it off the platform because Andy's talking about weed.
Because it says the word weed.
Because it says the word
Can't
weed.
say weed.
Can't say weed on TikTok anymore. Wonder who's behind that. He lied. Let's play this video. Let's take a look.
I like smoking weed. Do I have to give that up? Nope. You don't have to give that up. What do you mean I don't have to give that up? You don't have to give it up. You don't have to give anything up. But you'll want to. And that's the change that people need to understand about when it comes to following Christ, is that these desires that I once have that I no longer have, I can't explain to you why I no longer have them other than Jesus just took them away from me. Like that old life that I used to just love to live in, that cycle that I stayed in, and where the devil gets good at is, of course, there's good times there. If there wasn't good times there, you wouldn't stay there. You wouldn't walk down those roads. But there are good times, so that's why we walk down those roads. Then in our minds, the way our brains work, we remember the good times, and I don't want to give those good times up. Mm-hmm. And that Christianity thing that you guys do over there is going to impede on my good times, and I'm not ready to have you impede on my good times yet. But they just don't understand that over here on this side, when I follow Christ, am I going to go through hard times? Yep. Like we talk about this all the time in here. You're going to have struggles, but it's because I love Christ and that Christ has changed my heart that when I go through those struggles, I don't look at like this is the end of the world, because my hope is not here. My hope is eternal.
I love that. And that's how I feel when I watch that video. I go, I don't see where you got anything wrong there. That's exactly right. I think the only thing I would clarify is that, because the pushback that we received is 50-50, I'd say. It's 50% of people going, love that, maybe 60-40 of people that don't like it. And they think, I smoke weed because of PTSD. They miss the whole point. Mm-hmm. Yo, you might have to. And do I think that that's better than some pharmaceutical drug? In my mind, yes, I certainly do. How about you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's zero. We're not talking about medicinal use of marijuana. I'd much rather be smoking weed if you have pain than being on opiates.
We're always talking about the drunkenness factor that Christ mentions. Do not be drunk. We're talking about if you're just doing it to escape, then I think that you should talk to God about it. And I don't think it's going to be that I need a quick cold turkey. I'm never saying that. I've got a good buddy who was in the military for a long time, and he smokes cannabis because he was able to, through smoking cannabis, get off of all of these wacky drugs that he was on. He had a plethora of drugs he was taking 3 separate times a day. One's to wake up, one's midday, one's to go to sleep. And now he just does cannabis 3 times a day. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. How freeing is that for you, my brother? So we're never talking about that. We're only talking, again, I'm going to say this 100 times today, I think. Where's your heart at? What is the posture of your heart? If your heart, when you go to read, let's say, because this guy gave me this specific example. He said, when I go to read the Bible, sometimes when I'm high, if I've just smoked and then I go to read, he goes, I feel a bit convicted. I go, you should talk to God about that then. Maybe that's not the time he wants you doing that. Maybe he wants you a little more focused at those times. And if you can live under the tension of whatever does go on with your body through your reading part, maybe then you smoke when you're done. Maybe that's the gift given after the thing. I mean, I don't know. And I certainly don't think anybody else has a better opinion or like a more valid opinion than what God is probably identifying to you in your heart. What do you think?
I think 3 things.
Great.
Number 1, so the question that very often we hear from people, well, the Bible doesn't talk about smoking weed. No, it doesn't, but it talks about being sober-minded. Why does it talk about being sober-minded? Because the devil is a roaring lion out to devour. So when I'm not sober, whether it be high, whether it be drunk, no matter what that is, if I'm not clearly thinking, then it's easy for me to become deceived because I'm not clearly thinking. So that's the reason why the Bible says, be sober-minded, right? So there's your verse that has to deal with that. Number 2, and this was something I would hear from people a lot of comments being made. Well, God created this plant, so if God created this plant, he must want us to use it. God created opium. Are you banging heroin? Why? Like, where's your... God made everything made the cocoa plant. Are you ripping lines of blow? No, why? God made it. Why? Like, where does that stop? What God has made that we get to use for something that's unintentionally to be used.
It becomes a question that's asked in perpetuity.
It is
with everything. Then.
It's my heart issue. Now, there's people like, man, I smoke and I get closer to God. That's cool.
Great.
Maybe you will, but maybe for a season you will, and then maybe you'll find conviction. And when that day comes,
if that day comes,
then you need to listen to that conviction.
That's it.
Right, so there's the third component that I see are the highly legalistic Christians that are coming on, being like, none at all. Like, you should none at all. Like, you should run away from that. How dare you tell people that they can smoke weed? And I'm like, I'm not giving you a free pass to go smoke weed. What I'm saying is, I don't know about your conversion story, but I'm just so thankful to God that I didn't have all my crap together before I came to know Jesus.
Ain't that it?
Like, I had a lot of baggage. I had a lot of sin on my plate when I came to Jesus. And then over time, he started pulling that stuff away from me.
Hallelujah.
That's the calling to this.
Yeah.
So am I saying that you accept Christ and you get to keep going on smoking weed? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. There is a call to you being holy and treating God the fear of the Lord.
How quickly we make ourselves the arbiter of truth. Because all I'm hearing when you talk from that third-person perspective of what someone else is saying, it's like, again, it's the gospel of Joe. All right, Joe, I know you've got these ideas. Plenty of people have wacky ideas, Joe. What does the book say? What is God telling you in your heart? Same thing as most of this stuff falls in that category of a heart posture, man.
All of it pulls into the heart posture. Why am I making this decision? Am I smoking because I'm just trying to, as you said earlier, escape from something, which was by the way, my alcoholism and my drug use was escapism. It wasn't like I got to wake up. Now, there was a period where with drugs in my earlier years, what I would have said it was an addiction thing. But with my alcoholism specifically for that 10-year period I walked away from the Lord, there was never a moment where I woke up and was like, I got to go get the next drink. If I did drink the next day, it was just hair of the dog because I felt like crap for the night before, and it was a quick way to get rid of a hangover.
Sure.
But there was never a time where I was drinking because I had to. I was drinking because I hated my life.
And the question you have to ask yourself, if you're using any substance that does affect you in that, what was the terminology you used
sobriety.
there? and not just sobriety though. What's the biblical reference? It's be sober-minded.
But
If there's anything that's affecting you that way, that is taking away that sober-mindedness of you, it's worth considering talking to God about it.
Yeah.
And also, if that's too ethereal for you, I'm going to talk to God. He's going to, calibrate the inside of me. Maybe talk to a couple of people around you that love you and that you truly feel like care for you, and just say, I'm questioning my cannabis use, or I'm questioning my alcohol use, or my heroin, opiate use, or my meth. Kidding.
God.
But I've got it on my heart. I'm thinking about it. What do you see from me? What do you think? I trust you. Give me your assessment of where I'm at today. Do you think? And they might give you an answer that you don't expect. They might also go like, I'm just so glad to see you not on those pills that you were taking all the time. Look at you. You're in the gym. You're working out. You're in the Bible now. You weren't before. I don't know. Again, keep praying. I'll pray with you, by the way, is what a good Christian friend would say. They'd say, let's pray about this and see where your heart is led by the Lord. And we believe that prayer is action, don't we?
We do. I did it recently with nicotine pouches.
Oh, yeah,
I like nicotine pouches. I do. And
who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Legal. We don't do anything wrong with that. But one day I was just like, hey, God, what do you want? What do you think about this with me? And I very clearly heard him go, I don't want that for you.
It's one of the things I admire about your walk with Christ frequently is that you do have a good internal barometer for where God is leading your heart. And you will say no to things that you enjoy greatly. If you feel God pushing on you in that way, you're very quick to identify it and move yourself away from it. I really admire that.
Thanks, man.
That's something that's just awesome about you, man.
I did it with testosterone use several years ago.
I know you did.
I'm not saying that because I'm saying it's like that's the posture of it's like a heart thing. This is what we have to be doing because people are watching.
And we should be testing ourselves too with any of these things in our life and saying, God, is this what you want for me, or is this something I want for me? And we do that with food, by the way. That's another thing coming up here soon. We'd love for you guys to join us. We do a fast 3 days right before Easter. We had a ton of people do it with us last time. And then a bunch of people we personally know were angry that we didn't ask them in on this journey. It is very neat. If you've never done a fast, it is super rewarding to know that you can challenge your mind and body in that way. Almost exclusively your mind. Let's be realistic here. It's only 3 days. And then the meal reward at the end of it is phenomenal. I had a ribeye and baked potatoes last time. My wife killed it.
I did not. I'll do it very differently this time. I just started feeding my face everything I could put in sight. Paid for that.
Yeah.
But timing wise, we'll do it a few days and then we'll eat again. We'll break our fast on Good Friday, the night of Good Friday.
Yes.
Going into Easter, and we're looking forward to that again, man. It was a great time of
so we'd love for you guys to join us on that. It's a fun experience. We will be foreshadowing that as we move forward. And if you follow our socials, Andy will make some messages as we get closer to it.
Yeah.
What's this next segment you got for us, Fee?
It ain't your job to close the deal.
Here's my thing. Trying to bring people to Christ who don't believe like us, I get frustrated when I can't explain the feeling, and they're like, oh, dude, come on, you're just probably hallucinating. But then, Alec, you're second-guessing it too, like Thomas, but you're getting mad when you're trying to tell people about your Jesus.
Can I help you with this?
Yeah.
It ain't your job to close the deal.
Ooh.
It's not your job. See, Christians very often take it as it's my job that I got to close the deal and I got to get you to say the prayer right now so I know that your eternal salvation is solidified. That's not your job. It's Christ's job. It's God's job to come in and change people's hearts. And this is where Christians get this so messed up. My role is to exemplify Christ. My job is to live my life in such a way that when people see my life, they go, something's different about you. Alec, your role is to live your life in such a way that when people see, they go, what's different about you? Then I get to tell them about King Jesus. Whether or not they respond is not on me.
I love Alec. He's a guy we see at the gym quite a bit. He's one of those dudes. He's always full of energy. He'll run across the room and give you, he's a very, very strong man. He does jujitsu, and he's just physically a specimen, just as wide in the shoulders as he is tall. And he will bear hug you. And he's always just fired up. It makes you feel like you're really special. He's one of those kind of guys.
He always likes to grab my arm and pull me in and like give me a hug, just so I know.
Yeah,
like,
I'm 100 times stronger
than
than
he'll
you.
remind me, if anybody ever mess with you, Andy,
I'm your guy.
I'll cook them.
He does say I'll cook him.
Man, I love my man Alec.
Shout out to Alec.
Yeah, one of the things that kept coming up in this video, one of the comments, is this whole concept about to say the prayer. All right, so I want to bring some clarification to this concept of say the prayer. This is the prayer of salvation, right? It's just I accept Jesus in my heart. God, I ask you for forgiveness of my sins. So there's a lot of people that make comments about there's no prayer that saves you, and they're exactly right. There is no prayer that saves you. The methodology we get behind that is from Romans 10:9, that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and you believe in your heart God raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. That's the verses. So when we talk about the prayer of salvation, that's where that is coming from, is from Romans 10:9. So there has to be a moment in a person's life where they can just go, God, it's you. Like this is me confessing with my mouth, God, it is you. So when we're talking about the prayer, that's what we are talking about. Then going forward, how do we know that that's stuck, that it meant anything? Yeah, then we're going to look at the fruit of their life and the evidence of their life over time to see whether or not it was a real heart change on them. But even in that's not my responsibility to make you do that, believe that, learn that. My job is to exemplify Christ, right? So that, like I just said in that video, so that when you see something about my life, you're like, man, he's just kind. He's just always nice to everybody. He's peaceful in times of, like, he's always steady. Like, what is it about you that causes that? Then I get to come in and share, hey, man, here's what my life used to be, and here's what it is now, and here's what's helped me.
Yeah.
Jesus came in and did all this for me, and he can do it for you too. If you want to know more about that, man, I'm happy to talk to you about my Jesus.
Lee Strobel says, confess, receive, believe. That's it. It's so good. My wife says it to me all the time. She says it to her friends, and it really is that picture. It's confess, you then receive, and then you just believe. And C.S. Lewis breaks it down very interestingly. If you've not read the book Mere Christianity, and you're even curious about Jesus, do yourself the biggest favor you'll do in your lifetime. Get this book, read it. It's relatively short, a couple hundred pages. It's not a lofty theological book. He has an uncanny way of making hard things simple to understand. He talks about it being a mask. He uses this analogy of, like, you pretend for a while. You find someone that is a Christian and you kind of put on the suit of Christianity for a bit. And he goes, something happens in us through doing the things that we watch an actual Christian person that we trust do. Somehow it starts happening for you. And there is a bit of that. I talked about that in my testimony. Jack believed. And all I did, what I say right after that, I attached myself at the hip to Jack. I really did. And I just watched what he did. And I just mimicked those things. Just like a little kid would mimic their father, I started mimicking him in everything he did. I would sit like he sat. I'd wait for everybody else to speak. I would speak, and he'd write things down. I started writing things down. I started being more contemplative on how I presented myself because of how he presented himself. And things started clicking. Things started happening. The Spirit started moving in ways and creating these opportunities for me when he wouldn't be around, where I would kind of say in my head, what would Jack do? Mm-hmm. What would he do in this moment? And all of a sudden, I still love Jack. I still admire Jack. But Jack went to be with Jesus. So I now have this great opportunity where sadly he's not around, but fortunately for me, I am. Mm-hmm. And I get to just kind of be me now. He influenced this version of me, but now I have all these years, God willing, on this planet still to go about being an evangelist for God the way Jack taught me to be. And it's going to change throughout its process. But like, it does start a little weird is what I'm trying to say. And it can feel a little awkward and a little clunky. But if you put somebody around you and you just, fake it till you make it, in a way, And it's not that you're not even faking anything. It's really like a mimicry of someone that you admire. And all of a sudden it'll start clicking for you. Like the Spirit starts working in you. You start seeing the results they get from the posture that they have. And you actually just start developing that posture, man.
Mm-hmm. What you're talking about is the reason why God created the church. How am I supposed to know how to live my life like a Christian if I'm not around other Christians? So the reason why we do church is to create a community of people that are relying on one another, but also teaching people what it is to look like Christ and what it is to follow Christ.
And that doesn't mean that every Christian is perfect and they're living this perfect thing. And not everyone that calls themselves is a Christian. There are Christian imposters, I'm sorry to say.
Tons.
So you have to use this discernment in yourself. And again, it's going to take a little time. You follow someone and you see what the fruit of their life is. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we're talking. But yes, you're totally right. I love that point. It is the church. Mm-hmm. And that's the best way to quickly find a bunch of Christian people.
Yes, it is.
And then you can start filtering through, again, that buffet idea. You take a little taste here, you take a little taste there. Some of it's going to be a bit bitter. Some of it's going to be a bit too sweet for you too. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to find that happy place where all of a sudden you're relating with somebody that is close to Christ. And you can see it by the fruit of their life. And you go, I'm going to connect myself at the hip to you.
That's it. That's why we believe in mentorship.
What's our next video, big dog?
I question if you're really getting closer to God if you're not under some sort of spiritual attack. If you're just living your life and everything's smooth, then I don't really think that you are getting closer to God. And I think there's something to that. At least when I heard it, it specifically stirred me up because it is as I'm making my intentions towards God and I'm demanding more from myself and I'm trying to get deeper into his word and I'm trying to understand God better, that I do start having resistance. That's a great term for it, because that's what it is. It's not, I'm not hearing things banging and booming in the night, but it does seem like the things that have worked out pretty well up till then seem to start getting some hitches in them. And I do seem to stumble more and run into more roadblocks. Life isn't as smooth. And there is something to that.
I'll let you take it first.
I couldn't disagree more in my walk with Jesus. The more I read the Bible and surrender to God and do his will, the less chaos I have in my life.
Oh, this is a comment.
Yeah. This was the one that I just kept saying for people. The more beauty, peace, and love that comes in, I wouldn't let this deter you or program you to believe it gets harder with Jesus at the wheel. So she's conflating.
The most comments after that, everybody else says, yes, amen, 100%, amen. Boy, we got a lot of people going,
okay,
this Jonny is very wrong.
She's conflating two ideas.
Let's break them down.
Okay. So
it is a, 50-second video of an hour and a half, 2 hour long conversation.
So that's always my favorite part about people on here, that they don't hear the whole conversation. But still, I would say, even in this clip, you're conflating two ideas, because you're saying that I'll find rest and I'll find peace in Jesus. Absolutely. You can find rest and peace in Jesus and still go through hard things. The difference is, when I go through hard things with Jesus, I have rest and peace in the midst of that. That's what we're trying to make a point in this video. If you're saying that you don't go through hard things, I would say you're probably not on the right path. I saw this pastor this week, Philip Anthony Mitchell. I love that man.
So good.
And this is exactly what he was saying, the same thing you're saying. He was like, listen, if you're going in a direction towards Christ and you're starting to come upon some hard things, that's probably a telltale sign you're going in the right direction. Keep going. Keep pushing through and rest in the Lord as you go through those things, knowing that you are going in the right direction. That is what the point of that video actually is. But, people don't like that because they want the daddy in the sky version of Jesus, that you just give your life to Jesus and no more bad things are going to happen to you, that your walk will be full of peace. Tell that to the Christians in Nigeria with your comment right there. How's it going for them?
There's so many flaws in that thinking. I could go on for days. Terrible things, unfortunately, happen to Christians. Very hard things happen to Christians. That Christians still get cancer. Christian babies still die. many very brutal, awful things happen to all of God's people, and it's terrible and sad. And for anyone to pretend like just because I'm a Christian means clear sailing from here, I don't think I'm reading the same gospel you are. Mm-mm. God talks about, and I said this a little earlier, the world will hate you because of me. Do you think a life being hated is going to be easy?
Nope.
Okay. Then I rest my case. I'd like to apologize to absolutely nobody. Sorry.
If you do it with an Irish accent,
I can't.
I'd like to apologize to nobody.
Yours isn't good either. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have I do not. I'm so terrible at accents. They're so awful. Do we have any other videos we're watching here, Big Dog? I want to be the man that God can use. And it really required humility and vulnerability. But the most important thing I could say is like when I really started digging in, God was right there to like reveal things to me and encourage me. That's a funny thing is I didn't see the change in me. It's like when you work out and you haven't worked out in a long time and you start working out and you're looking in the mirror going like, man, there's just nothing happening. And then, you know, a couple months later, you're still looking and you're going like, what am I doing this for all the time? This sucks. And then someone comes up to you and they go, man, you look great. What have you done? But you've been working out? And you go like, actually, I have. I had a lot of people coming up to me and being like, man, you are freaking different. What's going on? What's new? And there's the door, by the way. You just go like, God's really changing me. And they go, I can tell. And then when they hit a hard spot, they'll come to you and go, man, what was that like when you started really working on that thing? Because I've had so many other people approach me now that I'm so open about, you know, the struggle to overcome anger. So many men have come up and been like, how'd you do that? And usually I just kind of say I really started digging in. What do you think about this video, buddy? Where does it impact you?
If you haven't watched this whole episode,
the fireside chat,
this is one of our favorite episodes. This is my favorite part about the whole night was this speech that Jonny gave because it set the tone for the rest of the night. Like I gave, you know, I talked first, but when I talked it was more like theological. This was just from the heart, man. And it was just it really opened the door for people to just be thinking about their own lives and the work God's done, the work God needs to do in their own lives. This analogy you had about working out was just super brilliant, which I think 100% of people that listened to this said this was just super helpful. No real pushback on any of this stuff because it's just like, I think this is the job of men is just to be vulnerable about our lives and what God is doing and what God needs to do. I think that's the best thing Christians can do. It's when people walk around like they got their stuff all together. I just got no time for that, man. Like I can't get behind it. I can't, because you just said it a second ago. It's like these people create this world where everything's just good and flourishing all the time. And if that's the standard of Christianity, what happens when that person's child dies in a car accident?
God forbid.
Or spouse gets cancer and dies.
God forbid.
Like what happens to your faith then? Because these things happen. I pray they never do, but these things happen to good, solid Christian people. And so if your worldview of Christianity is green gardens and everything's flourishing and happy marriage and happy kids all the time, if that's your standard of Christianity, then when something hard comes along, it breaks so many people. And that's where we see people walk away from their faith or end up in addiction or end up in a divorce or whatever it may be because their standard of Christianity was the wrong way.
This is a good opportunity to say that coming up on March 13th of this year, we are doing another fireside chat. If you would like to join us with this, please email us, updpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll correspond with you and we can get you figured out on how we can facilitate that for you. We are located in Central Florida, and I have a ranch. We have a bunch of guys out. Last time it was like 30 guys. This time we're expecting even more. It's food, it's fellowship, and then we record a podcast, and everybody that wants to speak got an opportunity to speak and really spoke from the heart. I thank you for saying that about, you know, what the Spirit moved me to speak about. Mm-hmm. I had some other ideas, and then once we started talking it just kind of started spilling out, which is kind of the best thing. It's always the best version is when it's like that. And the second thing I would say is I'm not qualified to give anything else but the truth of who God is in my life, what my life was like before and what my life is like now. I'm not qualified to say anything else theologically. I read a lot of theological books, try to my best with the capacity God's given me to understand these larger concepts wherever I can so that I can hopefully better apply them to my life and better share them with others. But really the best thing, the most important thing I'm qualified to, and probably any of our viewers are qualified to do, is speak directly about how God has impacted your life. That's called a testimony. And that's the most effective thing you're ever going to do. It's not going to be the theological things that you can pontificate about. It's truly going to be, who was I? And who is this Jesus guy who so fundamentally and radically changed my life? Joby Martin talked about it this week. He was talking about, if you haven't done a testimony in your life, you should start writing yours out. And he said, I'd encourage you just to sit down. It'll take a while. You'll do a draft, reread it, set it down. Don't look at it for a couple of days. Pick it back up, reread it, cut some of the fat out, and really see what God has done in your life. By the way, he posited that the outcome of that will be a immense feeling of gratitude for how far God has taken you from where you were at. But also it creates in you this opportunity, which is what we're called to do, is to say the hope for our salvation.
That's it, man.
So it's important for you to do that. Take a moment. If you have never done that, if you're anywhere in the audience and you think, I don't have a story. Andy and I met with a guy this summer. He told his story after all of us had told our wacky stories, including Pastor Mike, all these wacky stories about like a lot of heartache and a lot of turmoil, and a lot of sadness. And this guy comes in and talks about his life, and actually it was pretty awesome. And it's because his parents were very dialed in to Jesus, and his family grew up that way. And interestingly, he didn't quite understand some of the complications that had went on in his life, deaths in his family and such, that like he was able to navigate well because he already had such a great foundation of Jesus in his life. And we were pointing out going like, I love your story. Oh my gosh, tell it tonight to everybody, right? You don't know what your testimony can do for somebody else. God made your testimony special for you, but for somebody else as well. So please take this time in your life and write one of those things out and then start sharing it. You'll hone it down and you'll share it with one person, maybe intimately, but make sure that your story gets told to other people.
Yeah. The two previous videos we have, if you're watching this one and have not watched our two previous videos, it's Jonny giving his testimony, me giving mine.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering how you should go about doing that, there's two examples there for you.
We did have a couple of listener emails as well. We got an email from a young lady who was talking about demonic oppression, which was actually in reference to Paul Madison's video, where he was talking about being a missionary, going to South America, going to Asia, and meeting with people, and he's seen various forms of demonic oppression. And she resonated with that, and she emailed us. What'd she say?
She said, I love this. Hi, just saw your podcast, Former Occultist Details Real Demonic Encounters.
Which is the episode.
Yeah. Then she said, you said people can get prayer if they feel they have demonic oppression. I have felt for quite some time that there was demonic oppression in my life. Would you please pray for me? And then left her name and name there for us. You know, one of the things that we do on our podcast at the end of every one of our podcasts is we give our email out so that if people need prayer, and then we'll get them, and Jonny will call me, and we'll pray. I mean,
right over the phone?
Right over the phone for people.
The minute we receive them, I call Andy. If he doesn't answer, I text him and say, hey, we got a prayer request. He calls me back. The first moment he has it, we prioritize these things. They're so important. Prayer is action.
It is action, and it's something that we want to do. And so when this person is writing in asking us to pray for him, we did. Demonic oppression is a real thing. Doesn't, matter where. I know people can get wonky with it, right? But in those videos, we talked about the difference between possession and oppression. And very often, I think what Christians deal with is the side of oppression. We also have to be careful that not every bad decision I make is me just going, devil's got me, devil's got me. No, you're just a sinful human being that likes your sin nature, right? And so we have to be careful of that. But to say that it doesn't exist would be foolishness and not biblical. And so I think it's important as Christians is that we set the standard. When people need prayer, let's actively be praying for them.
The next email we have here is about temptation, discerning God's voice. So this gentleman writes in and says,
good morning. I would like prayer. Amazing. For the strength and obedience to not fall into temptation. I would also like to be able to discern God's voice from my own voice to better my relationship with him. This is such a question that we get asked all the time from people.
All the time.
How do I know it's God's voice versus my voice? The best answer that I can give you is the only way you're able to discern if it's God's voice is you have to be reading the Bible.
Okay.
God's voice is going to mirror what we learn in the Bible, right? And so what
do we learn in the Bible?
What we learn about the character and nature of who God is. We learn about his love and his desire for people. We learn about kindness and how we handle our money and how we treat others and to love my neighbor as myself and how do I treat my wife and how do I raise my kids. Like
we're given an instruction manual.
It's a playbook for life is there. And so when I spend time reading it, I get to know and understand who he is. So then when I'm praying and asking God to discern these things in my life, most often what I say is, I know my selfish nature. I know my own proclivities. I know what I like. And so when I'm praying, I know when I'm trying to lay my answers in, especially, I'll give you a great example of this.
Ooh.
Great example
Let's
of this.
go.
Last year when we were trying to sell our house.
That is a great example.
I wanted this new house bad.
Yes, you did. I wanted this house for you bad.
Yeah. There were so many awesome things.
So many awesome things.
And I created all the right rationale and all the right justifications. And listen, we could afford it. That the money wasn't the issue.
Yeah.
What I did was I took this thing and I put it up here. And I can see that now.
Sure.
But I put it up here.
You've seen it relatively quickly. Your wife's seen it maybe a little bit quicker.
So we sell it, and then first people that came and put full offer on it.
Trying to sell your current house to get the new house,
yeah.
Yes.
So we're selling our house. Very first people walk through our house, put a full offer. I'm like, God's in this.
Yeah.
Just clear as day. First people.
Look at that.
God is in
Jonny,
this.
we got a new studio.
And then a week later, they back out.
Yeah.
And there was a range of things we needed to fix on the house. So we start fixing all those things on the house. And then I get all that done, and we get ready to start showing it again. And my sump pump goes out, and I have this massive sinkhole in my yard. Take the house off the market,
sinkhole.
Get that all fixed up again, get ready to put it back on the market again, and then the main water line to our house broke and water's everywhere. And I'm like, let's fix that again. And then, there's about 2 other things that happen like that, and then I get it back on the market again. And
you broke your oven?
It just...
That glass cap on the oven?
Broke that. It's just like these stupid things kept happening. And then... It finally came down to the last day we had to close, or otherwise there would have been a whole lot of I would have lost deposits and all this. And I finally just submitted. I called Paul, and I was like, man, pray for me on this. What do you think?
Great guy to call when you need a prayer warrior.
Yep. And so we prayed, and the next day he and I convened, and we both heard the same thing. Let it go. Mm-hmm. And let it go. And it was hard. Because I really wanted the thing. It would have been great. It would have been closer for work. It would have been more space for my father-in-law. We would have had a cool studio. There would have been all these things. But for whatever reason, God didn't want me to have it. And probably, I think, as I think about it, reflect on it, is because it had become an idol to me. Mm-hmm. That's what it was.
Sure.
God says, and we're going to go over this in the 10 Commandments series, but you should have no other idols before me. Mm. And that means even that house that could be good and helpful can become more important than a relationship
for
with God.
you in your heart, for your posture.
In my heart.
Not for everybody.
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with
make
that
sure
house.
That we're clarifying for the people that
my
everything's
heart.
going smoothly.
Everything to do with my heart.
Yeah.
My heart. So that's how you get to know and discern God.
I think there's a couple other components I'd add quickly, briefly here. One of them is, yes, certainly we want to be in your Bible. You want to have a mentor. You want to have a mentee. You want to have people that you trust with the vulnerable places inside of your mind and your heart that have your best intentions in mind, that also are deeply rooted in Christ. And you run all these ideas past them. hey, if I'm a single guy, hey, there's this lady that really I think God's saying that's my lady. All right, let's bring her around these men that you appreciate and respect and see what they see. Mm-hmm. Let's hear honestly what's happening in that relationship as it currently stands so that they can help you see the forest from the trees on what is probably an emotional thing inside of you and might not be the best thing for you. So it's about setting up these people around you. And it takes time to do this. It takes dedication. It takes vulnerability, which is risky. But you have to do these things as you build friendship that is deep and worthwhile. And then you bring it to these people too. Like, hey, I think God's telling me this thing. I've brought those things to you before. Sometimes you go, man, you're totally right on. How can I also, by the way, this is a piece that comes on the back end, as Andy would go, I want to get in on that with you. I really think that is for you. How can I be helpful in that?
That's amazing.
Alternatively, you've also said, Jonny, that's nuts. Let's take a step back from that. Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens a month from now if you're still there. Mm-hmm. That's an awful haircut for you. I don't know that specific one came up before.
It did. It should have.
Right.
If it didn't, it should have.
I had very long hair for a while. Anyways, the point is that you should have accountability people in your life that you trust. And that's going to help you discern God's voice as well. Yeah. Sometimes God will speak audibly to people. It's bananas. He's not done that to me.
He's done it once to me.
There you go. I know plenty of people where there has been this audible thing that's happened that's very clear to them and shifts their life radically, and I think that's dope. He's done supernatural things for me that shaped my life radically, and that's also dope.
Yeah.
But I think those are a couple of good markers for people to use. Ash Wednesday, Andy Lamb. Andy knows some history to this. Andy grew up going to church and went to a Christian school and practiced all these traditions.
Did not.
You didn't practice this one?
Did not.
Really?
Nope. Grace Church is the first church I've ever practiced Ash Wednesday in.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Did you see it when you were a kid?
Nope.
Nobody around you in your world. You wouldn't be at the grocery store?
Catholic church, sure.
Catholics
I'm just saying, like, at the Christian school. First time you see it, it's when you see people that have this black, like, cross-looking thing on their foreheads. It looks like a smudge. You want to walk up and be like, hey, weirdo, did you get into some dirt? Did you have a dirty car? Whatever it might be. It's like you start wondering why, and then you see more of it, and you're like, okay, well, what's going on behind this? So history of Ash Wednesday. So we have to actually back it up before we even get to Ash Wednesday and start with Lent.
Okay.
So the practice of Lent is a 40-day time of prayer, repentance, and reflection that we do, that the Christian world does. And we see it mostly in the Western church. When I say Western, I mean Catholic, Episcopal, Lutheran, Methodists, and some non-denominationals will do it as well. So that's the Western. Eastern would be your Orthodox churches. So this is something that they started right about the time of the Council of Nicaea, around 325.
300? Yeah, okay.
So that's when Lent started. Okay, and so Lent was just this 40-day practice that was there to mimic Jesus' 40 days that he spent in the wilderness fasting.
Yeah.
So Lent is not a biblical thing. It is just something that Christianity said, this is something we're going to do as a unified church. We're going to do this practice that's going to lead us into Easter, and it's a time of faithfulness and repentance. That's what it was for.
Awesome.
It's beautiful. And so it's something that church worldwide, the Western church, is something that they practice. We see this around the turn of the 7th century. So right around 600, Pope Gregory I was who this is often credited to, that he added in Ash Wednesday, where the priest or the pastor will come and he'll take the ashes and he'll perform the sign of a cross on your forehead.
Okay.
They're relating that to some things from the Old Testament, like when Jonah preached to the Ninevites and they converted. Mm-hmm. They tore their clothes. They were in sackcloth and ashes.
Yes.
When Job, we see it in the book of Job, where Job had a time where he was weeping and he was tearing his clothes and had put ashes. We see it in the book of Daniel. We see it in the book of Esther. So there are some Old Testament scriptures where we can see this methodology performed. It doesn't specifically say it was it wouldn't have been the form of a cross, because at that point in time, crucifixion hadn't even become a thing yet. But it was something that they had to do around ashes. And so Pope Gregory I, around 600 AD, is the very first time where you can see documented where they implemented the sign of the cross with ashes.
Okay.
It's not a Bible thing. It's a
tradition.
It's a traditional thing. And so if you don't want to do it, don't do it. You know, it's if you want to do it, take part in. Our church does it. I've done it before.
I see both sides of it. I see it being a great opportunity. If you have it, people are curious about it. If you're open, maybe it gives you that opportunity. We're always looking for to evangelize and talk about Jesus. Alternatively, I don't see any necessity to do it.
It's not a thing.
It's a personal thing, clearly.
It is a personal thing. So
There
it's
we
not
go.
something that you have to do, but that is the history that comes behind it. And it is all, actually, we should look at it as a moment of how we can draw closer to Christ as we celebrate his death and resurrection, that most important weekend of Christianity.
Final thing, 10 Commandments series. All right.
I've never been so freaking fired up for a series, man.
I love doing interviews. They're so much fun. It's so cool learning things about people. And there's something that happens when you have the microphones and the camera going and you get about 30 minutes into a conversation. This specific thing is we're asking people that have dedicated their entire lives to these ideas. Mm-hmm. It's like we get to explore with them these great deep concepts and personal things. And they took personal inventory in each one of the commandments to like really assess, where am I in this? And each one of these different pastors, we're about halfway through interviews so far for it. Each one of these pastors like really got introspective with the specificity of their commandment, and they blew me away. I am so excited. I've never, in all the things that we've done so far, I've never been as excited for people to see these. I really hope you guys get out of it what we got out of it so far.
Yeah, I think they will, man. I think they will. So they can see that. If you're watching this right now,
next week's
one week from today,
Yeah.
we'll be launching the first one with Pastor Mike Adkins from Grace Church on the very first commandment. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited. All right. So that's it. That's going to be so exciting. Guys, we are Untrained Philosophical Discussionists. Please check us out on our website, updpodcast.com. We've got merch. We've got connections there to all the different stuff like Patreon.
Check us out on Patreon. Oh my gosh. Every time I'll get on there, if you're like wanting to know how to read the Bible and understand the Bible,
Thank you.
And you have a short window of like attention, like this guy, you get 5 minutes with me. You actually get about a minute. If I get through the first minute and it's awesome, then you're going to get the other 5 or 10, or if you're Sean Ryan, maybe 6 hours on an interview with a guy. But maybe. But having said that, if you are a guy or a gal that doesn't really understand how to read the Bible, and you read the Old Testament specifically, and you're like, man, there's some weird stuff that happens in here, check out Bible Briefs by Mr. Jonny Hanson on Patreon. It is dynamic. It's got some cool music. Yeah, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but it's just
mysterious music, for sure.
It's so Johnny. It'll help you unpack like some of these ideas and concepts. Because like you read a verse, but if you don't know the background or the history or the forward, it's very hard for you maybe to fully understand it. So he just does a really great job. And so you can go to patreon.com/UPD Podcast. You can get those. Those are free. But while you're there, you could select to become a supporter of what we do for $5.
$5 a month. Please consider that. That'd be great. If you're struggling with something, or if you're having a success with something that we ever talk about, please consider just putting that in an email and sending it to us. We love to correspond. It makes us feel darn good about what we're doing here.
Yeah, or if you have a topic that you want discussed, shoot
Yeah,
us an
that's
email
great.
and just say, hey, we'd love to hear you guys' ideas on whatever it is, and we'll create a series behind it. Maybe we'll do some interviews with somebody behind it, but we're always open to more interviews from you guys as well, or our ideas as well.
Finally, like, share, subscribe, comment. Hey, I have this thing going on, or whatever you want to do. We'd love for you to comment. It does also help our show when you do any of those things, like, share, comment. So please do that. And finally, as always, we just want to pray that you have a deep and a fulfilling relationship with Jesus, and that he blesses you all the days of your life.
Yeah, and all God's people said.
They said amen.
Sure did.